The market is currently in a state of uncertainty with no clear direction, up or down, until more information comes out. Now, the economy is still relatively stable, but there are signs of a slowing, which means changes are on the way. Let's kick off our time together with economic and stock market risks. The Federal Reserve, led by the chair, Jay Powell, has signaled interest rate cuts are on the horizon. Now, this is likely going to come as soon as September. And this decision is in direct response to a slowing job market and an uptick in jobless claims. Now, what this indicates is a potential for cooling off of the broader economy. Moreover, the data itself shows that there's a concerning sign of economic deacceleration. So yes, we are fine right now, but there may be some things that are coming that we're not quite aware of. And we can see this very easily in commodity prices. And they are declining at a faster pace. And that right now is bringing inflation expectations down. So there's a lot here. And when we take a look at all the different aspects with what we're hearing about oil falling in price as well, we could actually see that this disinflation type of environment is really starting to pick up. And that is coming from what we call a lead 4 environment, where we have a slowing of the economy and a slowing of inflation. Now, yes, this high inflation environment that we have been in has been cooling down. However, with rate cuts to come, that actually may make some changes. And with inflation itself, all that could start creeping back up because of these interest rate cuts could really ignite the prices and, not only commodities, but also really help with all the different aspects of housing prices to come back up, with all the different things with food and gas to come back up over the next 6 to 9 months. And this is really particularly worrisome and also challenging for those that are struggling to afford the rising cost of food and gasoline and even paying for just the rent and goods. So there's a lot here that the Federal Reserve is trying to navigate, and that's one huge thing that we're seeing right now. Well, the other element is the US dollar. And what's happening here is that it's starting to get devalued. So when we do these rate cuts, we devalue our currency. And what that could actually do is help strengthen other currencies, ones that really aren't that great, like the euro and like the yuan in China. But what that's going to allow those countries to do then is saying, if we have risk with having US treasuries, with holding US stocks, maybe we need to sell them. So we could see bonds and stocks potentially start to go down if this continues just from the selling of other countries. So those are some of the factors that we see that make up this complexity over the next, say, even year. And it's a huge, complex picture, but we're here to navigate that as well. And we help to navigate that through portfolio changes. Despite the lack of any significant changes that I want to talk to you about in your portfolios, the investment strategy that we're maintaining right now is one that's going to work well with this environment. So we focus on consumer staples, companies that have utilities in them, and healthcare. Now, these are really some sectors that have a potential to, work in a slowdown of the economy that may be on the horizon. Now, yes, there's a lot of different economic commentators that talk about this, whether we will have a slowdown or not, but the data doesn't lie. And right now we're seeing a slight slowdown in the data. And then historically, the year after an election is just that, just a little bit more of a slowdown as well. So there's a lot that could happen in the next number of months into the next year. So those are good elements. And bonds. are really becoming a great place to be as well. Now, what you can tell here is that this is what we call a defensive positioning, really aimed to provide some stability and, well, hopefully some resilience in the face of all of these different emerging volatility signs that we're starting to see. And while we did have the third largest spike in volatility in history, it was the fastest that we've ever gone from a spike to back to a normal type of volatility in the markets in history. So there's still a lot of uncertainty out there just if this could happen again or not. And that's why we want to be focusing on the companies that can do well in this environment. And those are the adjustments that we've been making and ones that we want to continue with. With all the ways that we're talking about uncertainty, let's step back and take a look at wealth management and advanced planning, specifically with 8 ways to boost creativity and pursue excellence. Pursuing excellence may be a pipe dream, but I want to give you 8 ways that you can help to do that in your own life. And with the economic uncertainties, this will actually help to increase you mentally to prepare for anything of the future. The first one is to embrace the unfamiliar. Now, stepping out of your comfort zone and engaging with novel experiences can really stimulate creativity and open your mind to new perspectives. And this welcomes the unfamiliar, even if it feels challenging. Now, what can this do? Well, it can lead to an unexpected breakthrough and innovates really all the different ideas that you can be working with and the solutions that are part of it. So there's a lot there. Now, the second thing is do some productive daydreaming. And what this will allow you to do is let your mind wander and explore the possibilities that are out there. And that this really can help to lead to an open-ended, reflective time. And that may or may not be you, but this can actually inspire some fresh ideas and really help to innovate some different thought processes that may arise there as well. So whether that's being goal-oriented or not, that's a great thing to do. Now, the third thing, play and let others play as well. Now, engaging in a playful activity, whether it's alone or with others, can really foster a spirit of exploration, curiosity, and that joy that you may or may be missing in your life. And those elements can help cultivate that creativity and really provide a safe, playful environment that can really stoke those creativity ideals and help to grow where you're at today and your team. So that's really a big element of it. But number 4 is then to engage in some collaborative learning. So it's not enough to play, but when you start to put some collaboration with others in there and sharing your knowledge and learning and being really that idea generator, but then listening to others generate ideas and insights, now we can start to see how this diverse perspective can come together to help actually lift everyone up, not only in creativity, but the excellence that we were talking about. The next element is go do something else. Now, stepping away from a problem or a challenge and engaging in a completely different activity actually can really help you mentally. And what this can help do is gain a fresh perspective and help you focus and then reignite that creativity once you come back to that activity. So when you return to the original task, now you may be well rested and ready to re-engage. Number 6, brainstorm awful ideas. This really does not sound good and actually is and can be an awful idea. But suspending all judgment and allowing yourself to generate just ideas that may actually be outlandish, awful, impractical, whatever type of word you want to put in there, can actually help stimulate your creativity. And what this can do is say, we are getting that motion in your mind just working on problems. And that alone can start weeding out the bad ideas to start opening you up to great ideas. Number 7, reprogram your brain. Now, yes, this is something that there's been a lot of talk, and especially when you hear the word self-help. But consciously exposing yourself to a new experience, new ideas, new ways of thinking can actually help to rewire your brain and challenge where you have been and the ingrained patterns that are in your life. So this now actually can be helpful and foster the ongoing creativity that you are looking for. Number 8, don't beat yourself up over failures. And yes, this is a big one because it helps to embrace your growth when you start looking at all the different ways that you have failed, but you're not beating yourself up over them. You're using them as a learning opportunity. And that alone can say, yes, I've failed in the past, but that has given me the springing board to really look to the future and to actually look at what is going to make this element, my thought process, the creativity, actually grow, and then having that be a hallmark of where you are going, not only to your business, to what you want to do in retirement, but all those other elements. And that is something that you have the ability to do. So there's a lot here, obviously. And with all of that, work on your creativity. Work on the ways that you can continue to keep building up the excellence in whatever you do. With that, I want to actually touch on our second opinion service. Now, yes, we've talked about a lot, and we do that every time. But I want to remind you that if you have friends or family, someone that you care about deeply, that you've had a conversation with and they are just unaware of, or worse, that they don't trust the direction that they're going with their finances and their overall wealth plan, know that you can be offering them a second opinion on their overall plan. That's what we're offering you here. Now, we'll take them through that discovery meeting to find out where they're at today and where they want to go in the future. And then we'll come up with basically 3 outcomes of a meeting. One is that they could be all set and they're in a great place, and they will go away knowing that. The second element could be that there's a couple minor changes that need to be made, and they can implement that on their own. And the third one is that maybe there are some bigger gaps that exist, and maybe there are some great ideas on how to correct and to close those gaps. But no matter what, they'll go away having a better understanding of their overall wealth plan. And that's the power of a second opinion. So whether you know someone or you yourself would like to go through a second opinion or have questions about your overall wealth plan, please feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to meet with you and go through your questions and talk about the ways forward. Take care.